All right, what's up, everybody? We're back with another episode of Cool Movies Podcast. Leo,
What's up, mister?
how you doing?
Good.
All right, so there was some news that came out yesterday about Mr. Martin Scorsese himself. Now, I'm sure you already heard about the one he's doing with The Rock.
Yeah.
All right, which I'm really excited
Me
about.
too. Really excited.
Have you seen the trailer for the Smashing Machine?
Yes.
That he's doing?
I have.
What did you think?
I'm really excited.
Yeah?
Yeah. I love Uncle James.
Mm-hmm.
He's Benny or Josh?
Benny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a good actor. Let's see what he does alone.
Yeah, and being a huge MMA fan that I am, it's like I knew Mark Kerr, I followed his career.
You saw the doc, right? The original documentary, The Smashing Machine.
Totally by accident one day. It was one of those documentaries that, you know how like you fall down a YouTube rabbit hole and you find documentaries? That's how I found it.
Yeah.
You know, with like grainy quality. This is when YouTube had like 320p, like something very, very like not good quality.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just getting into MMA. This is like circa 2006, something like that. And I'm like, you know, kind of getting acquainted with all the major players in the game. And I'm like, oh, Mark Kerr's got a whole documentary. Okay, let me check that out.
Was it good?
Whoa. It was one of those documentaries that is like, if you're a documentarian and you're making that particular one, you just kind of fall into like a gold mine as far as story is concerned. Because, you know, you see how he kind of goes into it, doing a profile on one of the bigger names in the sport. Yeah. And then all of a sudden he falls into like the downward spiral that he's going through with his opiate addiction.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, and so I'm watching it and just riveted, like, oh my God, like this incredible athlete and, you know, amazing fighter, and now he's going through this, you know. So, and then I've seen it many times since then.
The trailer reminded me a lot of The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke.
I never thought about that.
Like, I know it's the same sport.
There's a little feel.
Yeah.
I know, like, as far as like the feeling of the movie.
Trailer,
That's true. I never thought about that.
I love The Wrestler.
I'm a huge Mickey Rourke
guy. I really like Mickey Rourke.
You know, it's like, was that your first introduction to Mickey Rourke?
Yeah.
Really?
Wow,
that's cool.
I really like him.
That's cool. So
he was nominated. He almost won the Oscar.
He should have won. He should have. Every now and again, there's like, I think about some moments in the Academy Awards history and I get annoyed.
It's failure, just...
Yeah, like that was one for me. Even though from a political standpoint, I understand. Yeah. Because he's so anti-Hollywood. They're like, we're not going to award you. You don't like us.
It's
we
like
don't
awarding
like
The Rock nowadays, more or less. Like if you have...
I don't know if he'll get nominated for this.
Yeah.
I'll say he'll get nominated for the Golden Globe. Yeah. I think the Oscars are like too elitist.
Yeah, maybe. Like, and it's the stack is really big this year. You got Jeremy Allen White playing Bruce Springsteen. You got Timothy Chalamet in a ping pong movie. Also the Josh Safdie. Yeah. The Mario Supreme. So it's a lot. I think it's gonna be hard. But maybe Golden Globe probably, since it's comedy and drama. Right?
Well, also it's really just more drama from if you compare it to the documentary, because there are certain scenes that I remember, they're just vivid in my mind that you see in the trailer. So there's the scene in the waiting room of the doctor.
Yeah, the first scene in the trailer.
Yeah, that's in the documentary. There's a scene where he's asking this Japanese, I don't know if he's a doctor or nurse or something, some medical guy. He's asking if he has any opiates. That's in the documentary. There's
his wife's in the doc a lot, like Emily Blunt.
Yeah. She's that's
important.
Yeah, she is, because it would kind of led a little bit to his downfall, because it was not the healthiest of relationships. And then there's the scene of when he overdoses, and then you find him in the hospital, and it's a very emotional scene in the documentary. So then you see him, and you know he's crying, he's like almost died, and all that. And I was like, oh my
That's
God.
an Oscar clip.
Yeah, it's like they took just like Ben Safdie. Wow, bro. He like took the really pivotal moments of the documentary to add it within the bigger tapestry of the movie. So I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, Martin Scorsese making a movie with Scorsese,
Yes.
great. And now comes this, like, okay, so I got this the other day, yesterday as a matter of fact, of
A new movie.
new movie,
Not the Rock
surprise movie that apparently is gonna have Leonardo DiCaprio again. I swear to God, I think Leo's gonna work with him until he dies.
Yeah, probably.
You know?
I think Leo didn't reject, but he stepped down from the Damien Chazelle project. They were doing a Evil Knievel
Biopic?
something, and I think Leo was doing him. He stepped down probably to do this, and Damien Chazelle's probably working with, I guess, Cillian Murphy. He's probably making a movie with Cillian Murphy. Yeah.
I'm down with that. But yeah, so it's a movie about the origins of how the Italian mafia even came to the United States. You know, so and apparently 1890, it started in New Orleans, which I would not have expected. I thought it was going to be like, you know, from Ellis Island, you know, and into New York. One of the things I mentioned in the video that I made yesterday about this is I really dig how Scorsese, like, he knows what he's best at, and he doesn't mind just staying in that lane.
It's the same thing, but he knows how to do it.
Yeah, exactly. It's a cultural thing.
And just like you were telling me earlier, even when he does diverge a little bit, like in The Wolf of Wall Street, which is a more modern movie, it's still the same style, the same type of narrative. Like you're following one character and his world, world building, no plot, just following his life.
Yeah, but also like you know, it's, you can even say like in Wolf of Wall Street, it's like a mafia crew. Yeah. You know, it's got a boss, it's got an underboss, they have their captains. Yeah. And so like you have the archetypes, and then you have like the ascension and the downfall, and it's very, very.
And it works.
It works. I was shocked when I watched The Wolf of Wall Street. Absolutely shocked in the best way. Yeah. You know, and you told me like you haven't seen all of it, but you've seen a bunch.
I saw 7.
7. Can you rattle them off for me?
Goodfellas, Departed, Shutter Island, Killers of the Flower Moon, Taxi Driver, Wolf of Wall Street, and The Irishman. Those are my 2 favorites: The Irishman and Wolf of Wall Street.
Okay, because I'm not a huge fan of The Irishman.
Really?
Not really. Tell me what you like about it.
I think the thing that made me really love The Irishman was the lack of expectations.
Okay.
Fair
enough.
I planned on seeing it after I saw the more classical ones: Taxi Driver, Goodfellas, and The Departed. Those main 3, especially the last 2 because they're mafia movies, mob movies. And I've heard like people say the Irishman is like a reflection upon Scorsese's own career. Like it's as if he is Robert De Niro in the movie.
Okay, that's an interesting take.
Yeah, I saw that. 3.5 hours didn't excite me. Some people say it's boring. It's kind of divisive. Not everyone loves it, and I would not as much expectations as put it on Netflix, and I really loved it. Okay. I loved how it moved. To me, it's not boring at all. It's really fast paced to me. Like,
he has a way
especially
of
in the
doing
beginning.
that.
Yeah.
Like Goodfellas is 3 hours. Casino is 3 hours.
It's really long movies.
Does not feel like
The Wolf of Wall Street. It doesn't stop. And The Irishman also plays with time, right? Like you start in a later point in the narrative, then you go back. I just thought it was really cool, and the ending of The Irishman is for me one of the best Scorsese endings ever. Yeah. So anticlimactic and so good for that.
And it is anticlimactic, you know, and it's like for me. So one of my gripes with it, I have 2 gripes with The Irishman. Okay. The de-aging didn't work for me.
Yeah, I get that. It's him kicking the guy in the street.
Yes, exactly. It's like, bro, you look like a 60-year-old trying to kick somebody, and it's just not.
Yeah, I see that.
You know, and then the second thing that doesn't work for me is, so me growing up, this is early 90s, okay, so like 30 plus years ago, there was a Jimmy Hoffa movie.
Jimmy Hoffa?
Yeah, with Jack Nicholson.
Oh, yeah.
Jack Nicholson plays Hoffa.
Okay.
And I remember it even being nominated for Best Makeup because it really made him, he really looked like Jimmy Hoffa, you know? And I see Al Pacino.
That's Al Pacino.
So that's kind of like, his performance is good. Okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that.
But it does kind of take me out of it a little bit, that he doesn't sound like him, he doesn't look like him. just the hair.
Yeah.
That was really what Jimmy Hoffa's hair looked like. And Jack being Jack, you know, he just became that dude, you know? Looked like him, sounded like him.
Sounded like
Yeah. He really got the voice for it. He worked hard, you know?
I always forget that. What's the name of the guy from Adolescence? Stephen Graham.
Yeah.
He's in the Irishman.
Yes,
right?
yeah. He plays
not
like,
as much.
Not a whole lot.
No.
He got that great scene with Pacino.
That's the scene I always remember.
Where it's like, you're late.
Yes.
You know?
So good.
That tension.
Yeah.
Whoa, you know what I mean?
And he is it Pacino or De Niro that's trying to like ease the situation?
De Niro.
De Niro, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because Jimmy Hoffa, he was a hothead.
Yeah.
You know?
And Pacino's in the movie.
Yeah, so you know you're adding that to it. But one of the things I do have to give it his flowers for this one. Two things I gotta give flowers to. One, Pesci.
Yeah. His return.
Yes, man. And you know, when like again, growing up watching a whole bunch of Joe Pesci movies, and if you haven't seen My Cousin Vinny, that I think is one of the great comedies of all time.
He's a funny guy.
Well, him and Marissa Tomei in that movie, she won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress.
Really?
Yeah.
Also in The Wrestler.
Also in The Wrestler, you know, to circle it back.
Yeah.
Amazing movie. And he's like big as far as like, you know, it's like he's a hothead. Like you see, like you remember his scenes in Goodfellas, you know, it's like, what do you mean I'm funny? How, you know? Of course. There's that great scene that I still go back to and look at from Casino, which I know you haven't seen yet.
I haven't seen it. Yeah. I really want to see it.
But he's got this great scene where he's chewing out Robert De Niro. Like really chews him out. And that particular scene went viral when a bunch of different things happened around the world. And then this performance is so quiet. It's so subdued, but scary. Like really,
It's
really
different for him.
Yeah, it's not the kind of role that he normally plays. He normally plays like that very loud, funny, intimidating,
self-absorbed,
boisterous dude. You know what I mean?
Larger than life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so in this role, he's like very chill and kind of menacing. Like there's that one scene where, I do love the combinations: Joe Pesci, De Niro, and Keitel.
Yeah, like, from the Irishman.
Yeah, from the Irishman. Three of the greats, you know?
Yeah. It's not like a reunion, right?
Exactly.
Scorsese bringing his friends back.
Bringing his boys back.
Yeah.
And then you know, Keitel is basically kind of questioning De Niro about something that happened. And Joe Pesci's just looking at him, staring at him. Like, I'm not helping you. I'm not helping you. You need to explain yourself. You got yourself into this. Now you get yourself out. So there's that. And then the second thing is there's a guy that plays a mob boss, but he's not an actor.
In The Irishman.
In The Irishman, he's a comedian, Sebastian Maniscalco. He plays the dude, he kind of breaks Joe Pesci's balls a little bit in one scene, and then De Niro smooths it out, and then it's like, no, you guys are brothers, we're brothers.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about. That dude's a comedian, he's a stand-up comic. Hilarious guy. And then he pops up in this movie, and I'm like, that's not the funny guy that I've seen. No, he's ridiculous. And but I'm like, I see him doing that, and I'm like, okay, he's got it. And then later on, he went and did a short series with De Niro. I think De Niro plays his dad on HBO Max. Never watched it, but I was like, oh, so he's making more of a foray into acting. But all right. So now, one of the things I haven't seen completely, because it didn't really grab me, and I'm wondering about your thoughts on it. Shutter Island.
Yeah. That's my least favorite one.
Okay. So we're not completely on different pages. Okay.
My dad loves Shutter Island. Since I was 10, he says, when you're older, I'm showing you Shutter Island. And I think last year maybe, with my mom, come on, let's watch it.
Okay.
Sat down. The first half of the movie, I really like. You haven't seen it entirely.
No, I gave up about halfway through.
I like the first half. I think the mystery is well built. Visually, I think it's really interesting, different from what Scorsese does.
Yeah, like the lighting sequences.
The rain, it's beautiful in the sun, but at night it really rains. It pours rain, and he has to hide. That seems really good. I like Mark Ruffalo. I like Ben Kingsley. Really good first half. But I thought the second half went so off what it was doing before. after you haven't seen the movie.
Not the. I know the twist. Like
Okay.
he's in a
Yeah.
he's in a nut house.
I predicted that twist the second he entered the island.
Really?
I said to my dad, the way he was speaking to my
Mental
Russell
institution. Okay.
was already weird to me.
Yeah.
But after the moment he goes to a cave in the middle of the movie, like on the island, and he finds Laura Dern, maybe.
Yeah.
Looks like Laura Dern at least. I don't remember if it was her. No, sorry, Patricia Clarkson.
Okay.
It was Patricia Clarkson. From that moment on, I just gave up. Like it is interesting, but I think it's too scattered.
Yeah.
That it was too scattered to become fully satisfying. By the end, I was like, okay, good twist, but I knew it was happening, so it didn't fulfill me.
Right. And I think that kind of goes along with when Scorsese makes a foray out of the gangster movie genre. Because, like, now, mind you, he does some incredible things, like, you know, Age of Innocence with Daniel Day-Lewis and Michelle Pfeiffer. Really, really well done. I actually like Hugo.
I think I've seen parts of Hugo.
I like Hugo.
Yeah,
It's a sweet little movie.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And it's kind of like
They got like
Scorsese-
11 Oscar nominations.
Yeah,
for
won
Hugo.
nothing, but he got a bunch of nominations. But it's like his love letter to old cinema. And when I was in college, I took a bunch of film classes because my university offered a film certificate.
Okay.
I didn't earn it because I had to take 4 classes and I had to take other classes for my major. So I was like 1 class short of getting it. And I was like, I'm not spending that money to get the certificate. But I took like history of film, intro to film, writing on film. And so as I was taking those classes, I'm watching like Dr. Caligari's Cabinet, The Golem, Metropolis, like these old black and white, like no sound except for the music that was like played live at the time when they were showing these movies. And so like, and there's like the specific one, I forget what it's called. It's like maybe like Journey to the Moon or something like that. And so like I would see what he's referencing. I was like, oh, okay. So it's a nice little nod to the history of movies. So that was really cool. In Hugo, yeah. I tried watching Silence. Have you heard of this one?
Yes, that I think. Yeah, that and Casino are the main ones at least the people I follow online say are really good ones.
Silence, I mean, I got bored.
Really?
I got bored.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an interesting story, but at the same time, and you know, I only tried watching it once, so you know, maybe it's worth a revisit because it's Scorsese.
It's pretty recent, right? Like 2016, I think.
Yeah, something like that. You know, and you know, he's super Catholic.
Yeah.
You know, he almost became a priest.
Really?
Yeah. He joined the seminary, but he was like, I'm gonna go this route, and you know, thank God.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like the whole how Catholicism was struggling and the people who were persecuted in Japan, and I'm like, okay, great, but there's a scene that is very off-putting. It's well done, but I'm like, man, I can't believe this stuff would happen. Where
not filmmaking wise, like story wise.
Like story wise, like what he did was showing. It was one of the ways in which Japanese people who converted to Catholicism, how they were persecuted, tortured, and killed. And what the scene is like, I think there was like maybe like 2 or 3 Japanese guys. They're crucified, but it's done like in a certain part of a beachhead, and so little by little the tide would come up, so they would eventually drown as well. And then you see that happening, and you see like, I'm like, that's rough.
Yeah,
that's rough, and that's saying something from a Scorsese movie. You know, when it comes to violence, you know. But yeah, that was like it was a little too intense for me in the moment that I watched it. But yeah, when like Cape Fear is probably one of the greatest remakes of all time. I don't know if you knew that it was a remake.
I think I knew.
Yeah. You know, and so I like when he goes out of gangsters, he does some great things, but also maybe some hit or misses.
Some like he tries to do something different, sometimes it doesn't work.
And that's totally fine.
That's fine.
I appreciate the swing always because
Yeah.
they're always well made.
Yeah.
Maybe you just don't connect with it the way
You
you
appreciate
would.
it.
Yeah. Especially for Hugo. Like it's like I like what you did. It's a fun little movie. It's basically a kids movie.
Yeah.
You know,
I saw it as a
it's
kid,
just
like
something
a
you
long
don't
time
equate
ago.
with Scorsese,
Yeah.
and that's totally fine. But I really liked it.
The new movie with Leo. What do you think?
Which one?
The one we're talking about.
Midnight Vendetta.
Midnight Vendetta.
Great title.
Yeah.
I think it's a great title, you know? And it actually is like, I'm like, all right, great. So it's gangster movie, historical, so it's like period piece, you know,
he
which
always
he's done.
adds at least a little of that.
Yeah. He like adds some other flavors to it, which I really dig. And I think what impresses me the most is how he's not just incredibly competent as a director still, because he's like 80 something years old at this point. It's like he's up there.
Yeah.
But he's got that energy to him, which I think people forgot. But then when Wolf of Wall Street came out, they're like, oh, he's still got it. You know what I mean? And so then when, you know, Killers of the Flower Moon came out, you know, it's like, okay, he can still kind of slow it down a little bit, but it's still got pace. It's still got, you know, the storytelling aspect of it, which is interesting. It has got some intrigue to it, which is cool.
Yeah.
You know, so adding all of those things, you know, to like the origins of the mafia, I think it's really going to get people interested.
Especially in this stage of his career, right? Like I said, The Irishman, many people consider like a reflection on his own life. Maybe this will be something like that. Like, I did many movies about the consequences of what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe he'll bring something interesting there.
Yeah. I'm really, anytime, look, he does gangster movies. I was really hyped when I heard about The Departed back in the day.
Okay.
You know, because he always does Italian mafia, and obviously,
Yeah.
you know, he has that sensibility. He knew guys like that growing up. And so when he was like, no, Irish mob, I'm like, now we're talking.
With Jack Nicholson.
With Jack Nicholson, and
Leo
like,
Mattiello.
there's so many amazing stories about how insane the making of that movie was. You know,
Best Picture winner.
Best Picture, I think, did he win director or no? I think he
yeah,
did.
Yeah, I think he did.
And it won Best Screenplay for William Monahan.
And only Mark Wahlberg was nominated as an actor. That's funny.
I don't understand that.
No. He's good.
Yes, he's great in that movie,
But
you
Jack
know,
Nicholson.
but not just Jack, but like
Matt
Leo
Damon.
and Matt.
Yeah.
Leo and Matt, like really, you know, like they killed it. I've tried watching the original version. Have you tried watching it?
Is it a remake as well?
It is a remake.
That one I didn't know.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's a
okay.
remake of a trilogy,
Ah.
a Chinese trilogy called Infernal Affairs, which is also another great title. I tried watching it. It just
Is it very different or no?
the premise is the same,
Okay.
but of course, cultural aspects, language aspects. So
Nice.
you know, yeah, and pace as well. But as soon as I heard about the premise, I was like, hell yes. You know, I mean, that's something I hadn't seen before. And then I tried watching the original, and then I just think that day I didn't want to read subtitles, to be very honest with you. Because sometimes that happens, you know, and especially with a lot of, whether it's, you know, Chinese, Japanese, or Korean, sometimes they speak really, really fast.
Yes, yeah.
And so I have to read the subtitles fast so I can keep up with what's going on.
When it's a discussion?
Yeah, especially
Old Boy, for example, the end of Old Boy.
Right, exactly. It's really, really fast. And so it's like, I don't want to do this right now. it's, you know, because like a lot of times, especially, let me see, circa, like I ramped up my movie watching, like especially like old movies around, let's say, 2014 to like 2017, like those 3 years, like, you know, like I would just come home from jujitsu. I was single, you know, I was training jujitsu every day, come home exhausted. I just want to chill and watch something before I pass out. And I'm like, you know, focusing, like trying to keep up. And I'm like, I don't want to read.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah,
now,
that.
let me watch an action movie of some kind. I watch John Wick for the 50th time. You know, that's kind of how my thing was. You know, so yeah, excited about that. He's also got a Jesus biopic coming out.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
Which is interesting.
Who would you cast as Jesus?
Who?
Nowadays.
Nowadays, that's a very, very, very good question.
Aaron Taylor Johnson, maybe?
He's too handsome.
Sure.
He's too handsome.
Sure.
No. I would try. You know what? I really dug what they did with Chosen, the Chosen series on Netflix.
Yeah.
It's like a series about Jesus,
Yeah.
and so I would definitely want somebody that I don't want an American.
Okay.
You know, I want somebody
Less known, maybe?
maybe a little less known, and definitely from that region. Kind of give it a little bit more authentic vibe to it, especially from a language point of view.
Yeah.
Speaking of Scorsese, I remember watching Last Temptation of Christ, and I didn't buy Willem Dafoe as Jesus.
Jesus, yeah.
I'm like, you're a neighborhood dude from New York. That's what you feel like to me, you know?
Norman Osborn.
Yeah. So it's like when it's somebody a little bit more like even Jim Caviezel, like it was an amazing performance, but I think it's one of the exceptions that kind of proves the rule, because you know anytime they've chosen somebody to play Jesus that doesn't give me the Middle Eastern vibe, like they're just so American or so British,
Yeah.
it just kind of takes me out of it. You know, like there's a mini series I watched, well they made us watch when I was in Catholic school, called Jesus of Nazareth, and it's like a dude that with a British accent, and I'm like,
Pretty fake.
that's not doing it for me. You know, we watched Jesus Christ Superstar, and it was just a musical. I don't know if you've ever
I
seen
know the movie.
And again, it's like no, it's not doing it for me.
Not as authentic, maybe. As,
Yeah. I want some authenticity. Like, have you ever seen Fences? With
No,
Denzel Washington?
but I know that one.
So, I remember they were interviewing him in the cast, and they asked him like, why did you think you had to direct it? Like, you know, why a black man direct this movie?
I saw that. Yeah.
You know, and it's an amazing answer.
Yes,
because
it's the perfect answer.
Yeah, it's like it's not about color; it's about culture. You know, and then he uses Spielberg and Scorsese, saying, you know, Spielberg could have directed Goodfellas,
Yes.
Scorsese could have directed Schindler's List. Yeah. There's a cultural sensibility to it.
It probably would have been great as well.
Yeah, like,
but still,
like you think of The Color Purple.
Yeah.
You know, the one that Spielberg directed, beautifully made. As an audience member, I feel there's like a distance, there's like a disconnect with it, you know? And so I think if, you know, a black person did direct The Color of Purple, I think like maybe Spike Lee or maybe anybody else.
Yeah.
I think they would have brought
Ryan
him.
Coogler.
Yeah. Whoa, he would have done
cool.
something.
Yeah,
if he was alive at that time, you know.
Yeah.
You know, so I think, and it goes back to Scorsese, Italian American. This is part of the culture that he grew up in. So
He experienced.
Yeah, so there's like little things, you know, like there's that scene in Goodfellas where they just killed Billy Batts, and then they go to Joe Pesci's mom's house. And it's not just how the dinner scene, how she makes dinner.
Yeah.
That's very Italian American.
It feels like Scorsese lived that moment.
Yeah, like that's his mom. That's really his mom, you know? But there's that moment where Robert De Niro is pouring ketchup on it's a very, very, very niche detail where the way he holds the bottle and the ketchup comes out, I'm like, I've never seen that in my life. You know what I mean? I've never seen it since. And then, you know, I hear like, no, that's how we do it.
It's an Italian way of doing it.
Yeah, that's how we do it, you know, when we want to add ketchup to something, you know? And I'm like, whoa, even though you don't really add ketchup to a lot, you know, in Italian food.
Yeah.
But like, there are those little details that you don't think about if that's not part of who you are growing up, you know. So that's why I love it that that he's doing this. But
of course.
But yeah. Now there was another question that I really wanted to get to. You know, we're gonna move on from Scorsese.
Yes.
This was when we were discussing this earlier.
Yes.
Objectively.
Yeah.
Best movie you ever saw, and I put objectively in quotation marks because of course there's always going to be like a subjective element to it, you know. But you know, we talked about our top 5 movies of all time, and objectively, I can say a different movie, but still, subjectively, my favorite is Gladiator, and yours is Arrival.
Yeah.
So, objectively, what would you say is the best movie you've ever seen?
Like you said, you can't evaluate a movie 100% objectively.
Yeah.
It's a very emotional experience.
Mm-hmm.
But if you ask me, what's the most objectively well-made, perfect movie? I will put like technical mastery,
Sure. Okay.
thematic depth,
Mm-hmm.
overall stuff like performances, everything, looks. But it has to have that cinema feeling. Like
Okay.
if an alien came to Earth, what would you show them?
Yeah.
I think maybe one of my answers, but my main answer would be Parasite.
Parasites.
Yeah.
Interesting. The Korean movie.
Yeah, the Korean movie.
Never seen
Culturally, never seen it. Really?
Never saw it. Never.
Bong
never seen
Joon-ho he's one of my favorites. Culturally relevant.
Mhm.
It's not the main American Hollywood movie. It's not British. It's a very Korean. Like you can see the Korean culture. You can see Bong Joon-ho putting everything he did before and everything he knows in that movie, like Scorsese with
Yeah.
mob movies. It's really emotional. The ending is really emotional. So you have that human aspect for the aliens, you know.
Okay.
But like, why is it objectively the best movie?
Mhm.
It has that feeling of this is cinema.
Ah, okay. Okay.
This is like the camera moving. You're seeing cinema.
Mhm.
It looks great. It has great actors. It mixes genres.
Mhm.
Something else like
Yeah.
perfect movie. We intertwine many genres. There's a scene. I don't know if you've seen it. It's really famous on Twitter. Like there's a guy he's in a basement. He puts his face up the basement and he's all covered in black.
Mhm.
One of the scariest scenes I've ever seen. But it's also really funny. It's also really heartfelt.
Yeah.
It's overall a complete fulfilling experience. So
Okay.
I think my first answer would be Parasite.
Ah, okay. Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's like, the technical aspects of it
Are all-
still, I wouldn't say like they bring out the emotion, they might even enhance
Yeah.
the emotion
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
Ah, that's interesting.
Like, do you like Bong Joon-ho like in general or not seen as much?
I mean, I've only seen Mickey 17.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was like,
I love Mickey 17. I really like Mickey 17. Like, yeah.
it's a very dated movie, which is weird to say because
To
it just
say
came out
2025,
recently.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like, you could tell it's a movie that was, I don't know, made, but definitely written when Trump was
Yeah.
president before.
Okay.
Because Mark Ruffalo was really
Yeah,
playing
that's an impression.
the Trump caricature,
Yeah.
you know? So that kind of took me out of it,
Mhm.
you know? And anytime a movie overtly goes political, I get a little.
Yeah, he's in Parasite. It's more
And who's
subdued. It's still Robert Pattinson.
no? Who's the wife or female counterpart to Mark Ruffalo?
Naomi.
again?
Oh God, Little Miss Sunshine.
Yes.
Calm down.
I'm gonna look it up.
Hereditary.
I'm gonna look it up. Because it's gonna.
Toni Collette.
Thank you,
Toni
Toni
Collette,
Collette.
yeah.
Yes, yeah. She's like the Hillary Clinton, which is hilarious when you put those two together. You know, yeah. It just bothers me when it's the political aspect of it gets so much of a push. You know, and I'm like, don't do that.
I think Parasite would be more. Would connect
Did
better.
you do
with-
Snowpiercer?
Yeah.
Yes.
You saw Snowpiercer.
Yes. Snowpiercer.
That's really good.
Yeah. A lot of political things
Yeah.
in there.
But the main storyline is really
Exactly.
It's a sci-fi movie. It's not a
Exactly,
political
exactly.
movie overall.
You know, and
Yeah.
like I think Chris Evans doesn't get enough
No.
credit for his performance in that. Like his ending monologue, or towards the end of the
Yeah.
movie, is like it's heart wrenching. You know, so like yeah, Snowpiercer I really like.
Snowpiercer.
I like it a lot.
You haven't seen Memories of Murder as well, right?
No.
That's Korean movie. That's really good. Really take like a murder mystery, not sci-fi.
Okay.
Really
Okay.
good.
So yeah, I would say objectively,
Yes.
this is gonna sound so cliche and so not interesting, but The Godfather.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it.
It's so cliche. I totally understand that. But there's also a personal element to it, which makes me say that.
Yeah, me too with Parasite. Yeah.
Okay, cool,
Yeah.
cool. So, what's your personal connection with Parasites?
It made me realize, also a very generic answer, but
Yeah.
where cinema could be taken.
Ah,
There's an epilogue.
Okay.
The epilogue really surprised me. I haven't seen the epilogue since like, very old movies, classic movies. Brought that back.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, so okay, so we had like this storage closet when I was a kid, and I'm talking about like pre 10 years old. And my dad had these shelves that like you would screw together, and I would just climb these shelves and kind of like
Search around.
like, what do you have here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I remember the first time I made it all the way to the top, because I was too scared. But I finally climbed all the way to the top, and and there are plenty of things, but the thing that caught my eye was a VHS that said The Godfather 1 and 2. Very clearly, my father had like beautiful handwriting. It was very classic and like very clear.
Match the movie.
Yeah. Well, it's not cursive or anything. It was
Sure.
still like just block letters, but I'm like, okay. And I stored it in the back of my head, and I would like all the time climb those and discover new things, and then I'll climb all the way to the top when nobody was looking. And then one day, I grab it, and then I go to my dad, and I'm like, what's this? And then it's like, there's this meme of Malcolm in the Middle. I don't know if you know what I'm talking
No,
about.
I thought we didn't talk about Breaking Bad.
No, it's well, it is Bryan Cranston.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, maybe it is then.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's when his son asks him something and he turns to his son and everything turns dark.
Yeah, that's it.
You know,
That
there's
is
no
Breaking Bad.
going back from this, right?
With the Lion King music in the background, yeah.
And so it was one of those moments because the look of my dad's like, you want to know what this is? All right, I'm gonna show you what this is.
Your life is gonna change from now on.
Yeah. So we watched the movie, and he's giving
How
me
old were you, more or less? 9
years old or something like that.
That's cool.
And it was on a Sunday, and it was a marathon. We watched all of he played all of it. After I watched all of part 1 with him, the whole family was there watching.
Fitting.
About half an hour into part 2, I checked out. It was too much for me because I'm 9.
You're already like 3.5, maybe 4 hours in?
Yeah. You know, so like I'm watching it, and he's like talking about like, watch how Sonny is like very hot-headed, and he's gonna pay for that later. And look at Michael; he's very calm and calculating. That's how you have to be in life. You know, he's like, he's giving me life lessons on character and how to.
That's part maybe of like the perfect movie. You have so much what influenced you as well.
Exactly. And so like, that's one of the things that I saw, and then I've just seen it over and over and over again.
How many times more or less do you think you've seen in your life? The first one.
More than 50. Because even like it's also one of my wife's favorite movies, and when we first moved in together, and you know, before we had a child, we'd be channel surfing, and it'd be like The Godfather. It's like, okay, we're stopping, and we just watch wherever it's at.
Like
we're
Gladiator,
watching.
you said, right? If it's on the TV.
It's good. There's a couple movies like that actually. It's Gladiators, The Godfather, and the third one you might laugh at me if you know, Time Cop with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
No.
It's terrible. It's so bad, but you
it's always on TV.
It's so great. I guess, you know, Brazil has a thing with Van Damme movies, from what I've seen, what I've noticed, you know, and so, and then also like and then I took the film classes. I learned about filmmaking techniques, and then I watch it again, and I'm like, damn, this is good. Damn, like how did they do that? And then you watch part 2, and then there's always the battle of, you know, which one's better. Fun fact, Scorsese was going to direct part 2.
Really? I didn't know that.
Coppola wanted Scorsese to direct part 2. I don't remember why that didn't end up happening, but he was like, no, there's this young guy. He had just made Mean Streets, and he was like,
there's this young guy at the time.
This young guy, he's really good. Well, like, was he part of that crew? I feel like he was. Do you know about this? There was this group of young filmmakers in the 70s, and Coppola was like the big brother.
Like a mafia movie.
Yeah, it was like the big brother. And in this crew, Spielberg, George Lucas, Brian De Palma, and I think Scorsese was one of those.
He probably got in at some point.
I think he was one of those guys. I think there might have been another director in there that I don't
George
remember.
Lucas, Spielberg.
But yeah, that was that
The
little
circle.
Yeah, that little circle of
circle.
guys that became legends
Yeah.
in their own right.
And you prefer part 1 over Godfather 2? Or no?
It's as close to a tie
Really?
as possible.
For me,
Mainly because of Al Pacino's performance in part 2.
Okay.
Not necessarily with everything else, because if I'm taking it in its totality, then I would say 1.
Okay.
But it's like, okay, 1 in its totality is this. I will say 2 in its totality is this, but then Pacino's performance raises it up just a little bit. So that's how I'll explain that.
I prefer like
Part 3?
No, I haven't seen part 3. I've heard
You're not
so
missing
many
anything.
mixed things.
You're
of
not
part
missing
3,
anything, so you're fine.
But
you're
I
fine.
do prefer part 2.
Okay.
I like the first one.
Yeah.
Really like the first one, but the second one, I loved it. I watched it with my mom as well.
I went back, and I was, because my wife and I had this conversation about like how amazing that performance is, and she's like, "How did he not win Best Actor? Because he was nominated."
Who won that year? Jack Nicholson? No.
So before I tell you who wins, so he's nominated. So it's Al Pacino, Dustin Hoffman, Jack Nicholson. So you already have
Jack
3
Nicholson.
for Chinatown.
Okay.
And Dustin Hoffman for a movie called Lenny, based on the life of Lenny Bruce, the comedian. I forget who the 4th nominee was, and then the guy who won it.
Yeah.
Art Carney. Exactly. That's my point.
Yeah.
That's exactly
Art
my point.
Carney.
He did a movie called Harry and Tonto.
Lone Ranger related or no? No.
I've never heard this movie before. And so, yeah, I don't know what happened.
I hate these wins.
Again.
I hate these wins. These wins are so bad.
Again.
Imagine Mickey Rourke, Oscar-winning actor.
Mm-hmm.
For the rest
Academy Award
winner. Yeah.
That just sounds right. Academy Award winner, Mickey Rourke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's, for my money, why, as great as a performance as he gave in Scent of a Woman, I don't think it was the best performance that year, because Denzel was nominated for Malcolm X.
Okay.
I think he deserved it for that, but I think on the back of people's minds, like, last time he was nominated, it was Godfather 2, we should have given it to him then.
And these are horrible wins, because it's not for the performance, it's for, maybe we missed him before.
Exactly.
Or it's like Leo. It's a
Exactly.
career Oscar for him in The Revenant.
He should have won for
Or The Wolf of Wall Street.
The Wolf of Wall Street.
Matthew McConaughey is great.
Yeah.
He's better than Ursula for me.
I don't mind it that Matthew McConaughey won, but it's like Leo's
I love
performance.
McConaughey, but
Leo's performance.
It's one of the greats for me.
Yeah,
Leo specifically.
I definitely think it's the best of his career. That's a highlight, no doubt. But yeah, it happens sometimes with the Oscars, and it's annoying as can be. I mean, for my money, that happened this year.
Zoe Saldana?
No, with Fernanda Torres.
Yeah. In 10 years, people are gonna like Mikey Madison. She's great. She's really good.
It was a good performance. I'm not gonna lie. It was really, really great. Very memorable. But if you know anything about acting, you know what I mean. If you've even like taken one class, I took an acting course when I was in college. Of course, I'm terrible, but at least I kind of had a peek behind the curtain as the process of acting. And then when I see Fernanda Torres,
she's
my jaw was on the floor with what she was doing. It was brilliant.
I think what's gonna happen to her is the same thing that happened to everyone's seen to her mother. Fernanda Montenegro.
Which should have won.
Should have won. 1999.
Gwyneth Paltrow, really?
The same director. Her mother.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, it should have happened, but...
Just the last scene of Central Station should have won for Fernanda. But I do think it's what's going to happen with Fernanda Torres as well.
Yeah. She's going to get her due. She's already gotten her due here in Brazil.
She got the Golden Globe?
She did. Which I don't know if any other Brazilian actress or actor.
I think maybe Montenegro, her mother, was nominated,
but winning?
No,
I don't think so. But great performance, and I highly recommend people go watch it. It's heart-wrenching, but wows it.
Both, because
Amazing.
like I'm still here got really famous, and people, Brazilian movies, let's explore.
Yeah.
Watch Central Station. That's one of the best. City of God, there's so many good ones, but Central Station, something related to I'm Still Here.
Yeah. If you just go to like, and we can have a whole podcast just about Brazilian movies.
Yeah.
'Cause wow, you have no idea, people. But with
They're very different from one another.
they are.
Yeah.
They're really different. But just the premise of Central Station,
Yeah.
and I'll say this before we wrap up,
Mhm.
it's like just the premise is like that's so depressing, but there's so much meat
Life.
on the bone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, and if you don't know the premise, it's this. I think she was a retired teacher.
Yeah, and she writes letters.
She writes letters for illiterate people at the
at
bus station.
Central Station. Or
Yeah.
Central do Brasil, so Brazilian Central Station.
Yeah, and so it's like, bro, that's sad already.
Yeah.
But there's a charm to it. There's a reverence to
There's
it.
a kid.
There's a kid. It gave me a lot of like that movie, that Adam Sandler movie, Big Daddy. Gave me a lot of Big Daddy vibes to it, but just in a more serious and emotional context. But yeah, great watch.
Good watch.
Yeah, highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's all we got for today. Thank you all for coming out. Don't forget to tip your waitress. And thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, mister. Thanks.